could work hard, earn a decent living, and build a better life. In a decade of Liberal policy, that bargain has been blown to pieces. A CTV report this weekend showed that even families earning $200,000 are being driven out of Toronto because they can't afford a basement rental, a home, or anything else. Last year, 35,000 households fled the GTA, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. Is "Move Somewhere Cheaper" the new official government slogan of these Liberals for Canadians who can't afford to stay in their homes?
Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, well, it's hypocrisy to hear this from the Conservatives. All of a sudden, they're concerned about affordable housing. Building starts are up across Canada this year versus last year. If you look at year to year, we're moving up. We are investing $13 billion in Build Canada Homes. That's focused on non-market housing and market housing that leverages it. Mr. Speaker, we're getting no support from the Conservatives to scale up affordable housing at an unprecedented rate, and we expect that if they're going to speak out here about it.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Speaker, it is clear we would never support any of the policies that doubled home prices over the last decade. But families aren't just leaving Toronto because it's expensive. They're leaving because it's dangerous. We have needles in parks and crack pipes on the subway, and everybody is just supposed to pretend that all of this is normal. Does the government understand that public safety failures and the cost of housing, the cost of food, the cost of everything else are pushing Canadians out of their own communities after 10 years of their Liberal failures?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, it'd be really nice if these Conservatives would read the reports that they quote in the House of Commons. Food Banks Ontario talks about the importance of increasing base rates for social assistance, making sure that people living in poverty have sufficient social supports, Mr. Speaker, investing in income supports for Canadians like we have done through the Canada Disability Support payment, Mr. Speaker. The kinds of recommendations coming out of these reports fly in the face of the individualism that we hear over on the other side, Mr. Speaker. What Canadians know is that sometimes people face hard times, and when they do, they want their country to be there for them.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable, Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, whilst the Prime Minister continues to reap profits sheltered from taxation in Bermuda, the middle class here in Canada is now directly affected by this Liberal government's hidden taxes on every grocery. The Quebec Observatory of Inequalities reveals today that nearly 20% of workers suffer from food insecurity. This doubled in 4 years. Even with a steady job, we don't have enough to cope with rising food costs and rent costs. Why is this Prime Minister so proud to continue in the same direction with record deficits and spending, which will only make life even more expensive for Canadians and even more difficult when it comes to getting food? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary for Youth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, I would like to highlight that no parents should find it difficult to feed their children. I was in Nova Scotia this weekend. I was lucky enough to meet mothers, women who work in childcare centres, who take care of our children. They could not stress enough how important our measures have been for them to reduce the cost of childcare, to improve the childcare benefit. They are very happy with these investments made, but the Conservatives keep voting against. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable, Lotbinière. I'll give one impact of 10 years of Liberal governance: eating less to be able to afford housing. That is the sad choice that Canadians have to make. The Observatory has stated that food insecurity has nearly doubled in 4 years as a result of Liberal inflationary policies. 1 in 3 suffer from it. Severe food insecurity has increased by 63% in 3 years. It means skipping meals, weight loss, and extreme deprivation. And the Prime Minister tells young people and tenants that we'll have to make sacrifices in the future. How many more will have to sacrifice everything to enrich Brookfield and all Canadians? Mr. Speaker, this is a serious issue, and what my colleague did not mention was that the first thing we did is reduce income tax for Canadians. 22 million Canadians will now pay less tax. The second measure that the Conservatives voted against, and people need to note this because they voted against measures to build new homes. Affordable housing is the basis of affordability, Mr. Speaker. If they were really serious If they were so concerned with this, every single one of them would have supported Budget 2025.
Honourable Member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyendinaga.
At a time when families are under unprecedented financial pressures, Canadians expect their government to put them first. Right. While this Prime Minister travels abroad, meeting with dictators and autocrats, Canadians here at home are struggling to make ends meet. In parts of Ontario, food bank visits have increased by over 250%. This budget was an opportunity for the government to lower the cost of living by eliminating the industrial carbon tax. Instead, they callously increased it. Why?
Yeah, you tell them.
Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, these Conservatives voted against lowering the cost of living when they voted against Budget 2025 because they voted against food in schools for children. They voted against a tax cut for middle-income Canadians.
What else?
They voted against $75 million in apprenticeship training and against a refundable tax credit for personal support workers.
Really? Oh my God.
They also voted against $45 million in funding to address gender-based violence.
Wow.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians and seniors want to know who these Conservatives are fighting for, because it certainly isn't them.
The Honourable Member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyendinaga.
Instead of disingenuous replies to very serious questions, Canadians deserve answers. Let me share the state of Ontario, of food banks in Ontario. 2 in 3 food banks are concerned about sustaining their operations over the next 6 months. 1 in 2 worry they will not have enough food to meet the needs in their community. And directly from the Hunger Report, quote, over the past 5 years, the proportion of first-time food bank visitors have increased. The trend is unsurprising, as overall food bank use has nearly doubled. Mr. Speaker, can the Prime Minister explain why he's driving up grocery costs?
Yeah,
while he's refusing.
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, these Conservatives voted against lowering the cost of living for seniors when they voted against Budget 2025. They voted against old age security. They voted against the guaranteed income supplement. They voted against the New Horizons for Seniors program. They voted against anti-fraud measures that protect seniors from scams. They voted against a tax credit for personal support workers that support seniors who need care. They voted against dental care for over 6 million Canadians that are currently taking advantage of that. Canadians want to know, Mr. Speaker, who these Conservatives are fighting for, because it clearly isn't them.
The Honourable Member for King Vaughan.
Mr. Speaker, food bank usage is at a dangerously high level. With over 1 million people using the food bank in Ontario, this past year usage has skyrocketed 165%. Parents take pride in providing for their families. However, the cost of living crisis, 29% of food bank users are children. Wow. When will this Liberal government stop playing games with their Brookfield buddies and stop the industrial carbon tax so Canadians can afford to feed their families?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Mr. Speaker, Feed Ontario and Food Banks Canada do important work on the front lines, but they also make important recommendations for government, Mr. Speaker. And what are some of those recommendations? They recommended that Budget 2025 include automatic benefits, the Canada Disability Benefit, which was brought back by our government, National School Food Program, which was made permanent by our government, which the Conservatives recently called garbage. Mr. Speaker, they called on the government to make sure that we were building more affordable housing, and Build Canada Homes does just that. Mr. Speaker, how do the Conservatives sleep at night? Just exploiting the challenges that Canadians are facing for their own political gain without following one suggestion.